so we can start. Thanks, Ian. Yes, so hi, and we do have a change in the agenda. I forgot to put Gretchen and Philip on the agenda, so we will do that under announcements. And then I've moved some things around because Moira will be joining us around 7:30. So the agenda is a little bit different in order, and there will be the addition of the information about Birdtown. But first, I'd just like to get the review and approval of the minutes out of the way. So let me just bring them up. Was everyone able to look over the minutes? And does anyone have any changes?
Margie, can you scroll up again?
Yes.
Okay. I don't actually, was I at this meeting?
Weren't you at this meeting?
I think I missed the last one because I sent.
Oh, yes.
Slides in.
Oh.
Okay.
And I just spelled your name too, didn't I?
No, it's spelled correctly.
Okay.
Microsoft Word doesn't know my name.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, I was, everything blurs together, but I remember putting the slides and sending them.
I use my old minutes as my starting point, and yeah. Okay, thank you. Any other changes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay. Abstentions. All right, thank you. So before we go into the announcements, let me stop this. I would like to introduce the new faces here. First of all, Melissa Kahn, she's our new, and I think I wrote you an email about this. She is our new administrative liaison, and Melissa, together with Moira, who is our Board of Commissioner liaison, are considered non-voting members of the EAC. So they are actually members, but they don't have a vote. So we may hopefully be seeing them at a number of our meetings, and we'll have some really valuable input, I'm sure. So thanks for being here, Melissa. And as I said, Moira will be joining us around 7:30, which is why I've rearranged the agenda to wait to discuss the plastic bag ordinance till she gets here. So our other new faces are Gretchen, who was here last time but had no face, and Philip, who is also with Gretchen as far as he's going to share information with us about Birdtown. So we'll do the discussion about Birdtown momentarily under announcements, as I said, but before that, I would like to just make one more announcement and then ask if anyone has any. Just a reminder about that Zoom invitation that we got for February 8th to discuss plastic bag ordinances. You all got that, right? Okay, so a reminder, and it would be great if, I'm hoping to attend. If any of you can attend, that would be really nice. The more.
Who did that come from?
Who was that now? Is that Tradifferent Township initiated it, maybe?
I think it was sent to us by Sarah.
Yeah, it was sent by Sarah, but I think the meeting is put together by Tradifferent Township, if I'm not mistaken. I might be getting it mixed up with something. But yeah, the email you would have received would have been from Sarah.
Okay.
So yeah, if you can attend, that would be great. So does anyone else have any announcements? Okay, well then our next announcement is that we will be hearing from Gretchen and Philip about further update on Birdtown. So you want to take it away, either Gretchen or Philip?
I'll just let folks know who I am, and then I can introduce Phil. So I'm the executive director of Radnor Conservancy, an environmental nonprofit based in Wayne, and we really focus on educational programming, trail advocacy. We have been giving away free trees to the community residents for 12, 13 years. A number of years ago, we had a very healthy Birdtown program, which was kind of in conjunction with Audubon, PA, and Phil can talk more about that. He is definitely a bird expert. And Radnor Township is a bird town, still a bird town. But Phil, I'll pass it over to Phil to kind of talk about what has transpired over the past year or so. And I also just want to reiterate that that the Conservancy, if you guys could just keep the Conservancy in mind as a good partner, if you ever needed support or community support for anything that you're trying to gain traction on, I mean, like your bag ordinance, I would be happy to share any kind of information with with our database, with our members. So please keep that in mind and don't hesitate to reach out or ask for help in any way. So
that's great. I think you're going to hear from us.
Yeah, I mean, I really, I truly, would like to help in whatever way I can.
Okay.
So, I'm going to pass it over to Phil.
Thank you, Gretchen, and thank you all for giving me some of your valuable time to update you on what's been happening with Birdtown. Am I able to share my screen?
I think so. Do you have a share screen at the bottom? Yep.
Yep. Okay, so can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
All right, well, let's get rid of this because we don't need that. And let me just get to a PowerPoint, which will help me go through this quickly.
In a new chapter, we see Omicron, and we begin trying to find all the best ways to learn to live with.
Okay, so what is Birdtown? And this is our mission statement. We work in partnership with local municipalities to promote community-based conservation actions, creating healthy habitat for birds. So the major thrust of Birdtowns is to encourage people to plant native plants, because native insects depend on native plants, and native birds depend on native insects. Excuse me. Some of you may have heard of Doug Ptolemy. He's a great proponent of native plants, and he's helped to create a movement that recognizes that native plants are essential to the survival of birds. This is very important now because in the last 50 years, we have lost a third, 30% of our birds in this country. And at that rate, we won't have birds for that much longer. We have about 45 million acres of lawn in this country. And a lot of that lawn surrounds houses. And if we could just convince half of those people to plant native plants, that you've increased bird habitat by 20 million acres. That's no small potatoes. But let me give you a little bit of the history. And Birdtown started under the auspices of Audubon, Pennsylvania. And Phil Wallace, who was the executive director of Audubon, Pennsylvania, was one of the prime participants who really started the Radnor Birdtown. And that, helped be the heyday of the Radnor Birdtown. Audubon, Pennsylvania is the state office of the National Audubon Society. So the people who are in Audubon, Pennsylvania are actually state employees. And Radnor Township resolved to be a bird town that would be managed by the Radnor Conservancy. I don't remember exactly the year that happened. The Birdtown Committee was very active for a number of years, but Phil Wallace, for instance, retired and moved up into New England. Some other people retired from being president, and we sort of lost momentum. And so at this point now, the Radnor Birdtown isn't really active. Now, in addition to that, Audubon, Pennsylvania merged with the state offices of Maryland and Washington, D.C. to become Audubon Mid-Atlantic. And at that point, Audubon Mid-Atlantic and Birdtown got a divorce. It was an amicable separation. National Audubon has always been very happy with the kinds of activities and the results of the activities that bird towns in Pennsylvania have provided. But because of the expanded scope of the Audubon Mid-Atlantic and the need to conserve resources, they really decided that they had to focus on some of their projects at the expense of some other things. But again, they support what we're doing. And what we're doing is that a passionate group of volunteers, including myself, who think that the Birdtown program is a wonderful way to start increasing habitat for birds and bird conservation. We took up the challenge and we formed the Birdtown, Pennsylvania Working Group. And the goals that we decided on were to reduce barriers for current and future bird towns. For example, we decided that there wouldn't be any fees for bird towns ever. So some of you may remember from the very beginning, there was a $400 fee and it was supposed to be a $400 annual fee, and it got collected sometimes and not other times. And we really felt that was more of a barrier than anything. So we're trying to reduce anything that would inhibit bird town groups from forming and becoming active in their townships. We also want to increase the resources for bird towns. So we're going to help provide all of the, not all, but certainly some of the materials and that bird towns need, and also be able to provide a forum for bird towns from different areas to get together and talk about what kinds of things work and what kinds of things don't work, and sort of synergize to be able to increase the productivity for all of us. Our other goal is to grow the number of bird towns across the state. As I was sort of hinting at earlier, that we can make up for some of the lost habitat that's causing a decrease in birds by increasing habitat in people's yards. Now, some of the things that we've done already is we've created a new application form for new bird towns. We've created an annual report form for existing bird towns. We want to be able to track what people are doing and to be able to report those statistics out and perhaps use those statistics as the basis for grants that would help bird towns. We've created a new website, birdtownpa.org. There's a Facebook page. We've built a small but growing database of property recognition programs. In the past, we really pointed to and focused on the Audubon property recognition program. And now we're sort of freed from that restriction, and we can encourage people to work with any of the habitat recognition programs that there are, and there are several. We're also providing training for Birdtown leaders. And as an example, I've got an upcoming workshop on property recognition programs on February 17th of this year. This is an example. Monarch Way Station is a program where you can register your property, and there are certain requirements. Their emphasis is on replacing lost habitat for monarch butterflies. Well, so why would Birdtown recognize that? Well, the plantings and what you need to do to replace habitat for monarch butterflies, it benefits birds because you increase the biodiversity of insect life in your garden, and that's going to benefit birds. The plants provide pollination for some of the birds that actually help pollinate and use the nectar. For instance, hummingbirds is a good example of that. So there's not a need to discriminate between what one recognition program is from another. It just was what's the best fit for the property owner for them and their garden. So in this database, we talk about what the emphasis is, what the requirements are, what the benefits are, and if there are any costs. For some programs, the application is free. For others, there's a cost to the application. Lots of people like to have signs. And so there's a cost for some of those signs. Those kinds of things like signs are valuable tools because they allow us to tell our neighbors why our properties look the way they do. Sometimes it requires a little change in aesthetics to be planting meadows instead of lawns. But the sign helps tell the neighbors, hey, we're doing this because it's good for birds or it's good for monarch butterflies. And it also can be an avenue for engaging in conversation about those things. So why am I coming here? What do we need from Radnor Township EAC? Well, we really need help rejuvenating Radnor Birdtown. We might need a new resolution from the supervisors. I'm not sure about that because we're no longer, directly sponsored by Audubon. The supervisors might have some issue with that, and we might need to get a new resolution. But also, I'm wondering if that couldn't wait until, we're better situated and we have, volunteers and actual meetings and agendas. I'd also like to ask if there's a member of the EAC that would be a liaison to the Birdtown. And could the EAC help with advertising and referring interested volunteers? And I just happen to think of the sort of catchphrase, do you love birds? Do you love plants? come join us because we're saving birds by planting plants. And now, are there any questions or suggestions for me?
So this is Ray, just one comment, and this was shortly after Gretchen's last session when she presented this to us. I happen to have a couple pictures of 2 bald eagles down in our open space. And they were picking away at a deer carcass. So to me, it was just fabulous seeing bald eagles in Radnor. I'd never seen that before. I didn't know that we had any. So it really certainly resonated.
Yeah.
So it was pretty amazing.
That is pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah. So the question that I had though, I mean, do you lump bats into birds as well? I mean, is it, I know that we've suffered a lot with our bat population as well. Would you consider that part of your purview?
Yes, certainly. I mean, it's not that we would necessarily, although we certainly could, do a program on how to get more bats in your yard. But the concept of having native plants, I mean, it's amazing when you get a yard full of native plants and you start looking at the diversity of insects. And I never knew there were so many different kinds of bees. Well, we've got little bees and wasps and all these different little things flying around the yard. And that's good for bats. And so really what's good for bats is good for birds. I mean, if you think about it, all of these things evolved millions of years, over millions of years, and they evolved together in the same, ecosphere. And, human beings have been a part of that, but because of our interventions and our own drive to survive, we've massively impacted the pollinators, the birds, the bats, much of that ecosystem. And, I'm personally upset about that because I love birds. But as I like to tell people, I also like breathing. So there's a selfish part of that, and that, I want human beings to survive and thrive, and that means having a healthy ecosystem.
Hey,
so yeah, bats are great.
If I could ask a question, thank you
Sure.
for that and for the presentation. I'm not sure I understand what your ask is to us, right? So you want us to attend some of your meetings, that's great, but that doesn't feel very active to us. Is there something else that we could do to promote whatever, which I honestly don't know what your mission is as well. You want to plant some trees, you want to attract some birds, all perfect. But you've got to give us more tangible ways that we can do that, and maybe we can work on that with you.
Oh, sure. And if you're willing, so one thing is I want to compliment you, because from what I can see, you're already doing some great things, and there's not the difference between your focus and the Birdtown focus is only one of that what we're trying to do is get more people to change their yards. So it's like, as Doug Ptolemy says, we're gonna make a national park, 1 yard at a time. So what goes with that is educating the public about native plants and the value of having native plants. And as long as you guys are willing to do more work, I'm sure we can find some. That's not the question I expected.
Well, I was just going to say it was actually the pesticides and the lawns that was the reason I joined the EAC. That was my thing in the beginning. And
okay.
Of course, the thing is, we have so many other initiatives as well.
Yeah.
But as far, we'll certainly cooperate with you as best we can. And as far as advertising to the public, we ourselves have a little trouble with communicating with the public. We have, this is one of our problems, that we, we don't really have a direct communication, but we can have things like ask the commissioners to put blurbs on their newsletters and, things like that. So we don't have, a way of directly communicating, but we'll certainly, if I'm sure I speak for the group, be happy to cooperate, and we'll get back to you. We'll talk about it and get back to you about a liaison. And sounds like a wonderful idea. This is, like I said, what I initially was my initial thing. I actually gave a presentation to the Board of Commissioners, not that different from yours, although I focused on pesticides. And yeah, so thank you so much. I think we do need to move on now.
Okay.
Other things.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
thank
appreciate
you.
it greatly.
This is
Thank you, Phil.
wonderful. I feel like this is really what we're all about. And we'll keep up our communication through emails and stuff, if that's okay with you.
That is certainly okay with me.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, can you stop share?
Yes. Did that do it?
Yes, thank you. I mean,
Okay.
you're welcome to stay on if you want.
Oh, thank you. I actually have my son here,
Okay,
and I'll go back to visiting so he doesn't, think I'm
Okay.
abandoning him. But
well, thanks.
I appreciate the time, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks, Bill.
Bye. Yeah, so that was great. That really was the reason I joined the EAC. I got sidetracked. So before we continue with our next point on the agenda, Melissa, I was remiss at having you say a few words about yourself, and apparently I was told you also will be doing some sustainability office work.
Yes. So
Could you tell us a little about that?
sure. So I've been with the township for about 25 years now, right out of college at Villanova.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And my role as the staff liaison is not new to me with the EAC. When the EAC formed in 1997, I was their liaison for 10 years. So I've worked with a lot of you wonderful residents who have volunteered your time to serve on this committee, on this board. And I really appreciate it, as part of the administration, because it's really important work. So I know the Board of Commissioners adopted the Renewable Energy and Conservation Plan last year. And as part of that plan, a sustainability director role position was part of that plan. And, I had the opportunity to kind of raise my hand and say, this is something that I'm interested in. So I've taken on some of the responsibilities from the plan and kind of rolled it into what I'm already doing with the township. So my focus with the sustainability plan will be mainly township action items. I'll work really closely with the Green Team, Sarah and Robin. I haven't met the rest of the group yet, but I've worked with Robin before in the past. She was a member of the EAC years ago. And so I'm really looking forward to working on those action items and also to help facilitate any initiatives that the EAC and the Green Team have to kind of, push it through to, the board and, see what we can do to get some of these initiatives approved.
Okay, great. Thanks, Melissa. Yeah,
All right.
we definitely look forward to this.
Yeah, no problem. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Can I ask Melissa, and are there like specific sustainability duties that you're taking on, or is there more you can tell us about that part?
Yeah, so there's a number of them. I don't know if you had a chance to go through the sustainability plan. But I'm going to use this as my guide going forward as to what action items I'm going to be working on.
Okay.
Like I said, they're going to be mainly township focused. So there's there's a municipal ordinance program where we're going to try to have commercial entities doing some benchmarking, some auditing and building retuning. Another item is to have any new construction have to be fully electrified or electrification. Sarah, if I'm misstating any of this, please let me know.
Fine, Melissa. Exciting to hear this.
And there's other initiatives such as installing some electric vehicle stations throughout the township.
Is this Sarah, is this the plan the consultants put together, or is this something else?
No, this is the plan that the consultants and the green team worked on together through COVID.
Okay, so we have seen that. I just didn't know like which one of the things in that plan the township wanted to move forward with. So that would be great. Like maybe we can have a follow-up on what the priorities are and what next steps are for each.
Now the first step was to get a sustainability director.
I know, I wrote the proposal, Sarah. So I just want to know like what.
Sounds like Melissa
I
just
think
told
it
us
would
the first
just be
three, right?
helpful. Sorry, go ahead.
I said, it sounds like Melissa just told us the first three things on her
Yeah.
priority list. So that's good. So
Yeah. I just think that like it would be helpful for us to have, like how can we help contribute to some of these things? Like, is there a role for us to play in some of them? It'd be great to hear more about them.
It sounds like from our past conversations, it's doing things that are outside of this, right, Margie? It's like,
right.
the green team's doing their thing, and let's figure out what we can do.
Unofficially agreed that the green team is doing the energy piece of it, and we're doing the environmental piece of it. And yeah, that's sort of, I think, how we left it, rather than, doubling efforts and so forth. Yeah.
When I give my update, I think you'll understand what we've been doing behind the scenes since last February, because we didn't have a sustainability director, and using many of the things we've been already been doing behind the scenes will then be enabled to do because we now have Melissa, which gives us greater credibility in the township. And one of the very first things, Melissa knows this, is we already have an energy audit of the township building. And it's to begin to make those changes, which will save the township, at least based on 2 years ago, at least $30,000 a year, which is 1/3 of the budget for the electricity for the township building. When the audit was done by PICO, was $99,000 a year. We can take that down easily to 60,000 with tweaks.
Okay.
So
I had no idea.
And Melissa, what percentage of your time is devoted to this approximately, just out of curiosity?
It'll probably be between 10 and 15% of my time.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't go into everything else that I do, but there are other responsibilities that I do need to focus on as well.
Thank you.
And that's 10% of like 300%, right?
Right, exactly.
Everybody seems to have multiple roles these days. Yeah.
So Donnell, when new construction needs to be fully electrified, we can just add in and habitat to monarch butterflies. So that's our role.
I definitely think we need to work, some more with Birdtown and such. And yeah, I think that'd be great. By the way, Sid, did you know that, at least in my view, when I put my cursor over your image, my name comes up, Margaret Reinhardt? Okay.
That's I did it on purpose. Not for the yeah, I know.
All right, we're fine with that. We're a liberal group, right?
We should decide what to do with Birdtown though, as a.
Yeah, yes. Does anyone want to, so thanks, Melissa. This is we're usually not quite this disjointed. I usually follow my agenda really well, but somehow it's gotten away from us today.
That's fine.
But thank you, Melissa. So going back to Birdtown, does anyone want to be the liaison? Is anyone interested? I mean, I would be if nobody else is, because this is actually my thing. But
Go
if
ahead,
anybody else
then.
wants to.
Whatever you have the passion for, Margie, then do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but Margie, they need to figure out what their ask is, because that ask wasn't good enough. They need to give us a better message on what birds do for the township. I know it's obvious to a lot of people, but they need to make that more clear. And then they said something about giving trees away that are native to whatever bird species. So if that's really their value, then we could market that without marketing the rest of it. And
I
be
think
really
it was
successful.
Radnor Conservancy that gives away the
Yes,
tree.
the Conservancy.
And the township gives away trees. I was just at the shade tree meeting last night.
Okay.
They're talking about planting 150 trees this year.
Oh,
They're
nice.
now getting bare rooted trees 6 feet tall from PHS, plus Chanticleer, plus the
So
Radnor.
who are these trees going to? Or the township themselves, township,
People who want
Property.
them, people who ask.
Oh,
for
okay.
them.
Yeah, so I think that's my point. Like, if we can make that more clear, like, just being,
Okay,
if you were to offer people who care about their landscaping free trees as part of it, then that would be
Right.
interesting. And then they could just, but that's not well advertised. And so
Okay.
that could be something they can.
I mean,
I
I
think
could
part of
easily,
what they,
I could easily envision doing a Monarch way station in our open space, right? So
yeah, that'd be
I
great.
can explore, that would be
Throw
kind
a
of
bunch
neat.
of milkweed there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we have acres of open space at,
Yeah.
intersection of Bryn Mawr Ave and Mill Road. And it's, that I think that would be pretty neat. And then it kind of goes, I was thinking a little bit, Lisa, we had the conversation with Dr. Stevenson at Radnor Elementary School. This could be really interesting for them too. Maybe that's the tie-in with Earth Day
Mhm.
would be to go to the elementary school and do, something like that. That might be fun.
yeah, I was thinking too, it would be helpful. I was kind of thinking along the lines that Sid had, that, it would be helpful if there were some more clear, both asks, but also gives, right? Something as simple as like a handout that all the residents could have, or something that we could ask the commissioners to post somewhere that has a list of the native trees and have them classified by bird species. If you really want to see more cardinals in your yard, have these. If you'd really like to see more monarchs, plant milkweed and other things. And here's where you can get them locally, maybe even, right, with links. That could be something that Birdtown could put together that we could help distribute. That would be really easy. And then anyone who really was interested, say, this is where you can get started. And then the other piece of it is, then of course the free trees and all that is just great. But a lot of people here who are interested maybe just don't have the knowledge that they should be planting these trees or other, plant species, or which ones to focus on.
Okay.
So that could be a really kind of discrete project that they could work on that we could help market.
And my landscaper would love to charge me $500 for a tree he received for free. So yeah, perfect. We can definitely help with that.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I would like to move on now to the plastic bag ordinance. It's taken on a different life just in the last few days. So it's not as straightforward, I think, as we imagined. And I did send you an email with some update, but that's been changed a little as well in the meantime. Moira was not able to bring it up as new business. She said the meeting on Monday ran really long, till 11. Apparently it was spent talking a lot of it about ice skating. That's beside the point. And anyway, so one of the suggestions that Moira and Bill have had, and some of you have brought up as well, is that we need, before the board will vote on it, we need to have some community outreach and community input. And so I did try to contact the Wayne Business Association. I get no responses, not calling, not emailing. I never get a response after multiple attempts.
Margie, I understand. I don't get a response either.
Okay, but Moira said she will attempt this. But the other suggestion was that we have either a special EAC meeting that will be then open to the public, which I think probably we ought to do in person, or like a town hall. Moira would facilitate a town hall meeting on this. Apparently, she feels that the board will not adopt it before there's some community input. So it's kind of at that position right now. Melissa, do you have something that you know about it to add to this?
I don't. This
Okay.
is the first I've heard about this.
Oh, I thought she had discussed this with you. Okay.
No. Mm-mm.
So, and Moira's very, very busy. So it's a little hard to get, always hold of her. So I think what we need to, sorry about the dog. I think what we need to discuss is, do we want to have a special EAC meeting open to the public? The township will advertise it. Moira will put it in her newsletters, and it will be on the township site. And if so, we need to prepare a totally different presentation to the public than that brief synopsis we had for the board. So what do you all think? I don't know that we have a choice, because
That's
I
right.
don't think this will be received. Moira's the new president of the board, and if she's reluctant, I don't think that it will be taken on by the, and I know Sarah has mentioned this too, by the group before we get the public input.
Didn't the signature sheet at the fall festival, didn't we have like 50?
Yes.
signed
I mean,
up
we
in
could send to
support?
them. The trouble is, a
Like-
lot of them might have not been Radnor Township. We don't know. We didn't ask what township they live in.
Well,
So,
we do
but
have their email
We could
address,
send it
right?
to
So
them, yes.
that would be a really easy first step. We could even maybe put together a petition, some language just saying, I'm a Radnor resident and I support this.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, were in support of it when they filled
And then
out
we-
our survey.
And
Mhm.
then we can have them re-sign it if we're concerned about that. And at least it'd be-
We still have
first
that
step.
information. Yeah,
Yeah,
we still
um,
have that information. So
and-
the trouble is
That-
it's not designated who it could have been people from, King of Prussia or Paoli or, so we
yeah,
don't.
that's why this would be kind of a second attempt,
Yeah.
the same people and say, if you're a resident of Radnor, would you also sign
And
a petition? And
yeah.
that might be something we could present to Moira to say, we know of at least 30, even if if the number comes down a bit, here are at least 30 residents that have already expressed an
And
interest.
I think the concern is businesses, and, I don't know how they would, this is just more complexity for them. I don't know that it will be embraced by the businesses, because it's another thing they have to do. And I know how that feels, at work, it always was one more thing you have to do, one more thing.
Right, but the way to build that, I think, is that the way that it's drafted, at least now, is that they get to keep the proceeds. So
Yes,
it
yes.
is an extra step for them, but there is a tangible economic benefit to
True.
them. And it's really, it's the type of thing that is a steep learning curve. At first they have to adopt the new system and swap the bags or get rid of the plastic bags, but I think it's the type of thing that once you get over that initial hurdle, I don't think it'll be that difficult. A lot of the businesses in town already have moved away from plastic bags.
Right.
So
I think your biggest.
I don't
issue-
see it being a huge problem, although we definitely do need to explain that because maybe it's not clear what the bill would include. I just
Right.
a quick comment, and then I definitely want to hear from everyone else too. But I'm all for public hearings all the time. That's a big part of what I do as part of my job as an environmental lawyer. Typically, when there's a hearing, it's on a final proposal of a resolution or permit or bill or whatever it is. So I think it's fine to have a public hearing now. I think it just needs, I would have preferred that we did it after we had some input from the board to know if they're going to change it up a lot. But
Yeah.
an early public hearing, especially an informal one with us rather than with the board, could inform any changes so that we could say, well, we've already spoken to the community. We opened it up publicly. Here are the 3 things they wanted to see.
I think that's her reasoning. Yeah.
I
So
think
I
we
think
have to
that
do
would-
education.
Yeah,
We
and
need to
and we could do the presentation, right, of why it's a good thing for the community and why it's not going to be a burden for the businesses.
Right. And, we do have to have, you suggested, a few of you suggested last time to put in more of a wow factor, some of the, I think we can add, I just attended a webinar on microplastics in the drinking water. And the source of a lot of those are our plastic bags. And they had nice statistics. It was in Pennsylvania, so it was local. So I did a lot of screenshots. I have some nice local statistics, and it comes down to every week you actually breathe in or consume a credit card, in small pieces. That's how many microplastics we're getting in us. So yeah, we could add the wow factor and, make it more clear that we made it purposely succinct in our previous put together so that we wouldn't take up the board's time. But now I think we need to expand on it, and I don't think we have a choice. I think we need to go this way.
So Margie, I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch up here. So you're saying that the board doesn't recognize the value of this? Or
No, that's not what was said at all. But Moira said that we definitely need to present some community and i.e. business input before or with the presentation of this ordinance. That's her take on it. She's the president of the board, and I don't know that we have another alternative.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more convincing people out of the blue is too hard. I think the peer pressure aspect of it is actually way more compelling. So
by the way, Haverford has not apparently adopted theirs yet.
So why don't we wait for there's this whatever Tredyffrin meeting that's happening. I'm sure they have great materials. Let's take that and let's repurpose it for whatever needs we have here.
Right.
And then I think let's not focus the hammer on science because it doesn't matter. No one believes science anymore. So let's focus on peer pressure.
Well, and I think we need to show it all. Yeah. Yeah. So is it
What they're really asking for, Margie, is community education.
Yeah.
So someone can't, so they don't, and it's a problem because you can't make them come to community education, but you don't want someone who has some sort of influence with the board to say, I didn't know about it. Nobody ever told me.
That's part
There's
of
no
it.
reason for this. So why should I? And I think your biggest business problem is going to be giant. And it's not just Radnor people, but I watch because that's where I do my primary food shopping right now. And people are taking double bags of 10 bags. So they're taking 20 bags. And now I do see some people bringing their empty bags back to
Yeah.
put in the box.
Let's,
which are sent to
I'd
pots
like to
and-
ask Lisa on this point, right? Like, is the defense of, I didn't know that this was a regulation, a defense to people who don't want to do that?
That's what happened
Ignorance.
about the
It doesn't matter
skating.
though. It's not a defense. It's a point.
Ignorance of the law is never a defense. That's what they
See, do
say.
you see my point, Sarah? So.
Yeah, I
so-
do know, Sid, but we
I mean, there
witnessed
could
it on
be-
Monday night when the police made the people who were skating on the two ponds get off. And then the township went back and looked and, oh yes, there is an ordinance that says skating is prohibitive in the township. And
so
most
here-
people did not know of the ordinance, and it took an hour and a half of public comment to settle it for the board to say, okay, we'll put the signs back that says skate at your own risk and abandon the ordinance.
So
Believe
two
me.
quick points. Yeah, two quick points. That's part of why there's a grace period built into the
Right.
ordinance that we drafted, right? So it would go into effect, but it wouldn't, I forgot exactly how it's worded, but basically it's not really enforceable for
For
6 months or a year. So there's an adjustment period that allows for everyone to have many grocery trips where they're going to be made aware of this if they weren't already, before there's any kind of actual charge or penalty. I guess.
Right, that's very well worked out, yeah.
And I think that my guess is that's part of why they want us to do this public outreach too, is that we're priming people for it so they know it's coming. They have a chance to kind of get their anger or questions out and get comfortable with the idea of why this is a positive thing for the community.
Right, and at least we can say we did have the open meetings, because I imagine a lot of people have a memory like me, and even though, like with the ice skating, if I had, heard 10 years ago that ice skating was prohibited, I might not remember,
I don't think the ice skating is like even remotely like, I understand how frustrating that meeting was, but this is an ordinance that like, not just the residents have to follow, but the businesses. So
Yeah,
each
yeah.
business that has plastic bags is going to be notified and is up to them as businesses. It has nothing to do with personal people knowing whether or not they can like take a
Right.
plastic bag. They
Yeah.
can they can use one, in fact. They just have to pay
Right.
for it.
right, yeah.
So
Yeah, to me, it's very straightforward too, Donnell, and I think, I think it was very, very clear the way you put together, but this is what we'll need to follow now. And does anyone have like a suggestion for time? I mean, I can put together a more thorough thing, but I'm looking at my calendar. So I'm hoping, I would like to have a separate meeting.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it. Every single ESC meeting is open to all, so I wouldn't do that.
No, it's not. Maura isn't, she's not really making a suggestion. She's kind of telling you to have a public meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't
You
think.
have
that's
to
the
do
point.
it.
Isn't
It's
it a public meeting?
it's not really a suggestion in my,
Well,
I-
I think Sid may be
that we
saying,
need
why
to
can't we
follow
use
through.
part of our meeting time one night?
I don't think we'll have enough time for that.
Well, let's just do the whole meeting of that for that time. It doesn't matter.
But
This
then
is a formality, right?
Um,
If you provide good evidence on the peer pressure and the other materials, it's a formality. I mean, we're not really accomplishing anything. There's nothing we can do during that 1 hour meeting with everybody involved, the public meeting, that will change anybody's mind. So that's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
think it's
You can do
changing
it, but if you
minds.
want.
I think it's just getting input and maybe changing some minds,
Yeah,
some
what-
educational piece, yeah.
the way the board works is they work on the influence from the communities. So they
Yeah.
want to get community input
Yeah.
is really kind of what it comes to. So they need to
Right.
hear
we,
that the community has had an opportunity to talk about this.
yeah.
And what I would also like to do, I think it'd be great for us to have a separate meeting with Giant. Let's say, hey, we're getting ready to propose this. Tell us why this is a bad idea. What are the pros and cons? How is this going to affect you? So maybe we have a one-on-one meeting with Giant if they're going to be one of the ones most affected. That might be kind of interesting.
Does anyone want to do that? Try and meet with them?
I was raising my hand to ask a different question that's related.
Donnell, you're elected.
I don't know if I'm the one to meet with Giant. But Melissa, do you know if there's like a list of all the retailers or something in the township and like, because I'm wondering where exactly some of them fall, if there's other places besides Giant and like obviously also Old Navy and HomeSense and all of those, that I think those are the more concerning ones than like downtown retailers. Most of them are using paper already.
Yeah, we do have a list of business tax payers. I will have to check. I will have to check with the administrator, the business tax administrator, as to what sort of access we are or not allowed to have, because they have a whole other set of rules that kind of pertain to business taxpayers.
Sure. I mean, we'll even just settle for their names, but any extra information would be great too.
Top 20 without any numbers next to it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I really think having the open meeting will be much easier than like.
Margie, if we have an open meeting and Giant doesn't show up, doesn't matter, right? If me and my 20 buddies show up to the call, how does that change anything, right? I mean, I don't
think it's looking to change things. I think it's looking to get input. It's looking to inform.
But if it's a businesses, our meeting to a bunch of you and my and Sarah's friends, I mean, it doesn't matter if we all show up. You need 4 useful business owners, right? That's what you need. Otherwise, we're gonna have a meeting with, honestly, if we have an open meeting, it's gonna be all of us on the screen plus 3 dudes, right? That's gonna be it.
No, Maura says she's going to see that the word gets out. I don't think this is an option. I think we have to have an open meeting.
You have no choice.
Yeah.
It's not an option.
Yeah, it's not an option. Are you all okay with our next meeting being devoted to this?
100%.
A month should be enough time to get the word out.
Well, yeah, we need to get the word out and we need to update our presentation.
Right.
It sounds like it would start with us giving a presentation with an overview of the ordinance and why it's important. It sounds like we want to beef up or jazz up our previously prepared.
Yeah, we need to do
more.
I think, Margie, I think March or April in reality.
Okay.
My point is not whether or not it's optional. My point is, what if we do it and 100 people show up, right? All of our 10 friends. And then they say, that wasn't enough because so-and-so didn't show up because they're not big taxpayers.
They're not going to say that, Sid. They want a public meeting. The township, the Board of Commissioners are really focused on transparency.
They'll keep changing the hurdle, Sarah. I know what you're saying. I get it. But I'm telling you, they're going to keep changing the hurdle. Why wouldn't you? I would do the same thing.
But you can say you've done it. You don't have a choice. You just don't have a choice.
Yeah,
however it turns out, you don't have a choice. You have
Once
to.
we have the list of businesses, we can do outreach ahead of time and invite.
Through the Wayne Business Association, you somewhere there is an email list of that.
Yeah, and we can, send a right to know law request if we have to, but as an advisory council, I'm hoping we don't have to go through that hoop, but.
Well, the trouble with communicating with people, and it's because like if I'm the one communicating, it comes from my email. And I was definitely told that we cannot have a Radnor email. So that's the downside to our trying to communicate. Like some manager of a store sees something from M. Reinha,
Exactly. Melissa, can you confirm that if we do this meeting the way that we're told to do this meeting, that it clears all the hurdles that are required to get this thing passed?
No, it isn't going to get it passed. It's going to fulfill one step.
Right. Yeah, I really can't speak to that.
Yeah.
Well, not passed, fine. So whatever, we'll
Get it on the table.
let's just make sure that whatever effort we're going through is worth it, right? Because it's the worst thing is for us to go through all this effort, invite 100 people to this call, and then do it, and then they say that it's nothing's changed. So let's make sure that we get buy-off from the township before we put this whole charade.
Well, Moira has told me that, it will go to the board. She's very much in favor of it.
If we show up with 10 people who are on the call and they say yay?
It's not going to be a call. It should be in
It's
face
going to
to
be a
face.
meeting, an open meeting, probably in person.
So if we have an open meeting in the township, all of us show up and 3 other people, whatever, 10 people show up, whatever it is, that then takes it to the board? I just want to be really, really clear about what we're doing to make sure what we're doing is worthwhile. Otherwise, honestly, it's kabuki theater and we're just all pretending that we're doing something that doesn't do anything. So I want that confirmation before we do all these actions that we're contemplating doing.
I don't think this
It's
is
my
a
hope.
lift, to be honest. I mean, I think we are going to put on a presentation that's pretty much done. We just might want to jazz it up a little bit, right? Then we tell everyone, we're going to open the forum. We don't have to respond. We actually probably shouldn't respond. We're just going to be there in a listening mode. It should be recorded. I know it sounds like,
Right.
I'm assuming we have those capabilities. Everyone has 3 minutes to tell us your thoughts and provide your input. And
Absolutely.
then we'll have a record
It's
of
not a
that.
big lift, but my point is that we're going to waste a month for that meeting when right now we could spend the next 30 days calling the people that matter, right? If it really is getting
Well, we can do
the top
both.
20 guys
We can
on
do both.
board, let's do that for the next 30 days rather than just wait 30 days, have a meeting, and then be told 30 days later.
Well,
we can do it
Sid,
again.
I think everybody needs to take a whoo.
Yes.
I think we're getting very passionate about this. I think we can do both things like Margie just said. At the same time, after Melissa gets us the list or what she can of the list or tells us that she can't get the list, whatever the outcome of that is, we assign everybody to organizations, we reach out. I vote for Lisa to be the governess of the public meeting because she obviously knows what she's talking about. We do exactly what she said. At the end, we have a list of business owners that we've talked to. We have their feedback, we have the recording, and then we can take it to the board.
That's right.
I don't think it has to be like stepwise. I completely understand why Moira wants to do this. I actually think it's to our advantage to bring it to people like this and give people an opportunity to comment instead of just pushing it into people's faces.
Yep.
That's my perspective. And we're also at time, so
And
I
it will
think we should
prevent-
talk next steps.
I think that's really good. Just 2 more super quick points. It will prevent a big backlash of people saying, I never had any notice about this and I live here. And at least
Yeah.
there will be some
So that
effort.
was Sarah's point. Yeah.
But, and then we can also have a written comment option. If people aren't able to make it that night, we can say you're also, feel free. I guess there's a question of where they get submitted to if we don't have an official email. Maybe Melissa can provide a suggestion, but or we can have like a Dropbox in the township building or something for comments on this ordinance change. But there should be a written way that people can submit their thoughts as well.
Yeah. Okay, I think we are running out of time here, or we have run out of time. And I did want like some updates, but maybe we'll put those off till next week. And I mean, next month. And yeah, and I had some stuff I wanted to bring up about the salt issue. So I don't know, are you all opposed to staying on with the meeting, or what's your, how do you feel? Do you want to stay on another 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I
can certainly-
personally have to run, but you guys can continue without me and I can catch up.
Okay, Donnell, thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye. Yeah, so just very quickly, Ray, was there any update on the presentation? You had spoken just a few minutes ago about it, but on any presentations to the school?
No,
Okay,
no updates. As Anthony had mentioned, I think the on variant kind of threw everyone a little bit for a loop
right.
over the holidays. So I think, it's definitely going to be if we do anything now, it's definitely virtual. So I think what Lisa and I talked about is let's try to gear something up around that Earth Day timing.
Okay,
So now maybe we tie in the Birdtown concept.
right.
Do
Okay.
something jointly together, because at least then it's real, it's tangible.
Right.
It would be relatable to the kids as well.
Right. Okay, great. Thanks. And Sarah, would you have a really quick update about any green team initiatives?
Yeah, so we've been waiting for a sustainability director. In the meantime, we did a lot of work on what went in and became the township website. We've set up, we were told that one of the things we wanted with our piece of the website was it to be interactive, which the township can't do yet. And so we were advised that we would have to do social media. And that was a gift from the gods because thanks to a friend's help, we now have a website. A Facebook page, Radnor's Green Team. And we have other EACs and climate change initiatives who are adding on to it, which has our pledge. And I'm really pleased that we now have 3 commissioners who've signed the pledge. We've been doing background work on saldo changes and code changes, which ties right in with what Melissa said when building goes to the further out, it needs to be electrified. There are a lot of some very subtle and some pretty major changes, like don't bring in gas lines anymore. One of our members is liaison with Tredyffrin Township, and she's the Radnor and Tredyffrin liaison for Solarized Delco. She's also working on rain gardens with the Tredyffrin group. And our high school kids, the Radnor Earth Action Leadership Council, has already succeeded in getting styrofoam containers out of the dining and into cardboard. And they're looking into other ways to begin to tickle the kids and the faculty and maintenance to make changes. And they will be presenting at the Darby Creek Valley Association annual meeting, which is the 27th of February, which will be Zoom. So we've really done a lot in preparation. We want things to be shovel ready. We're beginning to do work on EVs and where would EV charging stations go? Where would the public EV charging stations go in the township? So when the money comes in, we're not saying, oh, where will they go? We'll already have a list. So there's been a lot going on behind the scenes till we got to have the association with Melissa, which Robin and I are thrilled. I've known Melissa for as many years as she's been at the township, I think. So that's it in a nutshell.
Great. Thank you, Sarah.
And on a personal level, I am in the middle or almost at the end of the PHS Tree Tenders program. And I've been taking a course out of the University of Iowa Cooperative Extension. It's 7 weeks long. I'm in my 4th week on planting natives and increasing diversity. So I'm very familiar with Doug Ptolemy. I sort of follow him around wherever there's a webinar. I listen to it. And if you Google his name, you'll find YouTubes of some of the programming he's done. And he's just fabulous.
Yeah, he's come to he's done presentations for our master watershed.
Yes,
group.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's what we're ready to go. We just need to work with Melissa now.
Okay, great. As something with new business, I just have this to run by you. I think I might just present this to Bill if he could say something to some of the grounds people in Radnor. I want to share my screen here if I can, just for one moment, as a bit of the new business. Be patient with me for 1 minute. Okay.
Is this about road salt?
Yeah, well, this is particularly sidewalk salt here. Does everyone see the salt here? So this is just in front of the park by my house. This exact thing happened last year. Here's another photo, just gallons of salt, and it sits there until the next rain, and then it gets washed in the stream. I was part of the Isaac Walton Salt Watch. And literally, I'm not exaggerating. Last year, I did my little salt measurement. It was literally off the chart. It was above the top number that I didn't even have a reading for it because it was so high. And this road salt's a whole nother issue. I know everyone has oversalted. It's not just Radnor Township. I think it was partly counting on a forecast that didn't happen. But, you know, certainly this sidewalk salt, you actually slip on the salt. So I don't know if someone has a better idea. I thought of just bringing this by Bill, if he could forward it, that this is just really a bad thing. At least it could be swept up again and they can actually use it again. But this is just totally detrimental to any life.
Is this on your side of the street or the park side?
It's on South Devon Avenue. Along
But
South
it's
Devon.
on the park side because
yeah.
the township salts the section of sidewalk that's in front of Emlyn Tunnel. But the rest of us have to put down.
Oh, no, this
our
was
own
from the
salt
township. This is strictly in front of the park.
in front
Yeah.
of the parks.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't control what people do, but this, you know, we really shouldn't be doing as a township because it just, you know, kills. There is no life left in that stream. I can tell you that. And yeah, and then it goes in the river, of course, and then the river ultimately goes in the ocean. And this is something we need to not do. So, and it will save money. We don't have to, you know, save in salt quantity.
Well, but here's a very practical example. The salt is eroding the concrete. So
Well,
the
that's the
township
other
doesn't
thing,
have to
yeah.
replace the sidewalks as often.
Yeah, we can
Because
see
they're
they're not in
using-
greatest shape to begin with.
They're using this salt. There are other substances. Speak to Bill, but I think he will end up talking to Ricky Foster and to Steve Norsini.
Yeah,
And
well,
they'll be-
yeah,
they'll
he'll
make
know
the
who to
change.
talk to. Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you guys done any research into alternatives to this? Because what I see is the cost of physical liability here is way greater than any concrete degradation or oversalting that you're identifying. In other words, if someone slips and falls because you didn't salt, that liability and that cost is far
I
greater.
understand that, but we're the environmental group and that's, you know, the liability.
Yeah, so my point is like, if we haven't identified a alternative, just telling people to salt less.
There are
Just less.
alternatives,
Just
Sid.
less.
It's called safe salt. And that's the kind that is kinder to plants and it doesn't burn dogs' feet. So I
Yeah,
buy
that's the other
safe
thing, yeah.
salt, which I use a great deal. It costs a great deal more, but
I
I
know.
have to do my sidewalk. If you have a sidewalk in front of your house, you have to clear it within 24 hours.
Right. But I think just
Also
using
things like
less,
sand.
it's not, we don't need this much to, you know, melt the ice. And yeah, I just think using less. I'm not saying, I don't think they're going to spend more money.
I love the idea. I just think we need to come up with a very concrete solution to
Okay.
the issue. That's kind of our job, right?
No, well,
Just saying that things are bad doesn't help anybody. Things are saying
Right,
things
you're
are
right.
bad, but you can improve them. This is how you improve them, then that's useful. And I don't know the answer.
okay, on that bright note, does anyone have any other new business or any other comments? And yeah, so I want to thank Melissa again, and I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.